Get ready for a hobby YOLO time with the maximum effort Primaris Repulsor tank.
Spiky bits.
What's going on, hobby maniacs? Baer with you again, checking out the newest floaty tank, or I guess the only floaty tank in the arsenal of the Space Marines. Of course, Primaris get all the cool toys, Batman style. Now, if you remember the old MTV show, Pimp My Ride, well, yep, they most definitely pimped this ride out. I heard you like floats with your floats, so we gave you more floats. And if you want guns, we got guns for days on this thing right here. It looks fresh. I mean, it is very forward thinking, and I've always been one to say, hey, don't judge a model until you get it into your hot little hands, because sometimes they don't look as good on the box or in the magazine as they do once built and in your hands. Now, I haven't had a chance to put this bad boy together yet, but I was Googling the instructions pretty hard, and I've noticed a few things that I liked and a few things that I disliked and a few things to probably look out for as you're building your version of the brand new heavy anti-grav tank, the floaty tank, so to speak, for the Primaris Marines. Now, I say maximum effort because this bad boy, well, it's gonna be hobby YOLO time to get in on this. Now, first off, let's see what's inside the box. You get these little very convenient earring gauge flight stands right here. Now, they're pretty big. I guess they're about the size of a quarter for each one, and it looks like what you do with them is you break them off, and there's these two nubs here. Well, of course, if I had done that correctly, it would be a little easier. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna form up Voltron right there. You're gonna see where it kind of looks like a crosshair. So you're gonna snap it together, and what it's gonna do, it's actually at an angle. It's gonna make this basically a little flight stand for you. And then this is actually gonna plug into the underneath. So this is gonna give you your buoyancy of your floaty tank right there. I don't know, it's different. I don't know what to think of it. I haven't tried it out. As long as your tanks aren't just like flying off, I suppose it's probably okay. I would recommend, if you're gonna trying to keep this this plastic clear, you're gonna want to be very careful using super glue, because it has a tendency, the fumes will craze up and, you know, turn from basically frost your exterior of something like this. You want to be very careful when you're doing this. Maybe use some plastic glue, some plastic bond to plastic bond, hitting it on the base. You're gonna get 3 sprues in here, and you'll notice that for a tank this size, there really isn't a lot of pre-made assemblies already in here. Usually you would see like the left and right side of the Land Raider or something like that, or the Storm Raven, you know, the whole top, and that kind of isn't the case here. And I was like, what's this all about? We gotta dig into some instructions here. And then you've got a couple of top turret pieces, the rear facing, and this is part of the cupola, the main battle cannon cupola right there. Now, I think this is a 90 mil base. I measured it out using inches. 225.7 centimeters is 1 inch. Excuse me, millimeters is 1 inch. So that would get you up to right around the 90 range right here, but I can't exactly tell. I need to get a tape measure that's in centimeters. And of course, you get this transfer sheet right here, the vehicle one that we've seen in the past. It looks like, again, they're kind of sanitizing. This is no longer troops, this is battle line. This is close support, fire support, veteran, and command. I don't know what to make of all that, but that's what the symbols say on there. So we'll take a closer look at the sprues themselves here in a minute. But for now, let's take a gander at this here instruction manual, shall we? Because this one's a doozy. So like I said, there is a definite lack of sub-assemblies here, and you're about to see why. So this appears to be the maximum effort tank. You've got a lot of these assemblies that are going to need to be glued on. Then you're going to have to put them on to the actual bottom of the hull or the fuselage. Then you're going to add more and more parts as you go. And I would assume because they're making it with computers, there's nice planar edges that these are going to lock into. Of course, I haven't cut any of it off here, and that would be the optimum case, to where you're not just trying to put something flat on something flat, and we all know how that's probably going to end poorly. But this right here looks like there's a little bit of a lip. This looks like there's a little bit of a lip. So use the surfaces that it's telling you to here to your advantage, but I cannot even imagine the amount of de-spruing or de-mold lining you're going to have to do on these. And we'll take a look at the sprues themselves here in a second, just to get a little closer down to the ground view in the trench, so to speak. Now here you can see the back thruster area right there goes on. All of this sub-assemblies, 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 more sub-assemblies, all sorts of stuff you got to put together right there. It all comes together, and I imagine by the time you even get to this spot right here, you're like, what the heck did I sign up for? This looks like hobby YOLO maximum effort right here. Now I could be wrong. There might be gorgeous, unmold-lined sprues to take advantage of, and all this stuff may go together very well, but I could definitely see the potential here, and I'm not saying it is, because again, I have not put my hands on one of these and put it together, but I could see the potential to where perhaps, if it's not designed correctly, pieces will overslip and kind of slip, fall, and miss where they're supposed to be. And I don't know. I'm a little apprehensive right here, and I'm hoping they did their due diligence. And this is just me, just kind of being a little too cautionary, but which has happened in the past. But that's how I like to do. And I can obviously see where rubber bands would be very advantageous at this point. Looks like over here you get to the grab assemblies, and of course you've got all the extra accessories that you can throw on there, but remember that's extra time to paint too. Sometimes if you're going to do metals, you're going to want to save them till last and glue them on after you do your blue or your red or your green paint job there, so you're not messing up your sweet fades with the airbrush. Now this was an interesting bit, and we'll take a look at this. There's very little don't glue this together parts besides the turret and the other side turrets here. There's not a lot of like moving doors and things like that we saw with the Land Raider, that we saw with the Storm Raven. Now this looks like the tolerances might be close enough and the recess is deep enough in the hinge that it would just naturally just kind of move back and forth, but I can't say that sight unseen and not putting it together. But there's the potential there for that. You got some exhaust stacks and things up here, your exhaust deflectors for the main engines right there, and then you start getting into the options for your forward-facing weapons. You got your side weapons here, which could be grenade launchers or a storm bolter. Then you get into more and more of that right here in the backwards-facing weapon. And then it's, from there on in, it's all pimp my ride status. Like, how much stuff do you want on your tank? You want antennas? We got you, dog. You want auto launchers? You want grenade launchers? You want radar dishes? Yo, you want tactical packs? You want a thermos? You want a gunner? We got you. It's all in here, man. You can literally put every single bit that you cut off on this bad boy here. It might not look the best, but you definitely could. You got stowage in the back. You got the melted bomb thermos, your little portable shrine right here, a random missile in a tube. I don't know how you're supposed to launch that. I don't know what that's about, but you got it. It's coming on board, on deck right there. And then there you can see how the flight stand works as well. And boom, there it is. Just like that. 13 simple steps to assembling the new Repulsor floaty tank. All right, so here's the stats, or here's the rules. Now we've seen all this stuff to ad nauseum over the past couple of weeks. Toughness 8 is obviously respectable. Strength 8 in combat, very respectable. 16 wounds, on par with a Land Raider. You've got your varying attacks and your ballistic skills over here, and your movement depending on how many wounds you have sustained through the course of the battle, of course. You've got your rocket pod, your heavy stubber. All of these are options you can take, and it's all outlined right here. You can, of course, pause the video and read this all to your content. Of course, it does have some interesting rules that are ported over from a number of different sources here. Hover tank, distance and ranges are always measured to and from the model's hull, even though it has a base. We saw that in the index books originally. Subtracting 2 from charge rolls made from a unit that declares a charge against a repulsor. We've seen that. I think the Wave Serpent also has that same ability, Power of the Machine Spirit. Solid rule right there. Auto launchers, instead of shooting any weapons, this model can use its auto launchers until your next shooting phase. Subtract 1 from all ranged weapons that target this unit. Of course, exploding is bad in this game. Generally, you want to save a command point reroll to either re-roll that to prevent it or re-roll that to encourage it if you are surrounded right there and you need to get some quick wounds on some folks there because you're about to get overrun. So there's all the rules there, and of course the points for it are in the brand new Space Marine Codex that just came out. So there it is. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Some sweet dope art on the back right there, showing off how it all works. Just floating across the battlefield, Honey Badger style. So overall, I think it's a cool looking kit. It's very forward thinking. However, it looks to be super time intensive to put together. And like I said, I'm a fan of stuff moving, in which it looks like only the little turrets in the main battle turret move. Doesn't look like the hinges may support it, but it is what it is right there. So we talked about the little gauge thingy mabobber. Let's take a look at the first sprue here, which is going to contain your bottom sprue, left and right, port and starboard sprues there, and all sorts of anti-grav stuff. And of course, the stack in the back that starts to form up the exhaust themselves. Now this is where this little thing goes in. And if the nubs line up correctly, let's see how sturdy that is. You can't disrespect it. You're probably going to want to glue it or pop in a magnet right there. I suppose you could hit a magnet right there. The interior is sort of detailed because you can see it from the point of looking in from the back hatch. And speaking of back hatches, that's not it. Speaking of back hatches, dramatic re-entry. Here it is right here. You can see this is the rear section with the engine exhaust block, and there you can see the little hinges I was talking about when we were looking at the instruction manual. And if you take a look, it does look like there's a recess there, and it does look like those are significantly deep to perhaps afford a bit of movement in this here. So before you glue it in, maybe try to wiggle it or flip it down, kind of dry fit it, see what's up. Also, these recesses right here on the left and right side light up, of course, with the starboard and port sides right there, but it doesn't look like that's going to allow for any movement. I could be wrong. Once you pin it in right here, it looks like there are a couple of recesses that the door hinges might be able to kind of plug into. The rest of the front here, that's where you're going to put your side and rear turrets. You got all your dongles, your dangles, anything you need to store, what's going to go right here and on the other sprue. And of course, the headlights, because you can't drive into battle if you can't see where you're going. And then the weapon sprue. So there's your combo turret right here, turret and collar, whatever you want to call it. The rear top armor plate, or excuse me, this is the top of the turret itself. So this is going to form your turret. It's going to lock in right here. And then you've got all of your weapons, all your dongles, your dangles, whatever you're trying to hang off this bad boy, and your antennae. Anything you need to stick into the air to communicate with your battle brothers, and more turret weapons right there. The collar, the launchers, the heavy bolter, bits. It's all right here. Dishes, whatever you want, we got you, dog. We want to pimp your ride. Your Marines are gonna ride in style. So there it is, all three sprues, the new flight stand. I cannot think of anything else to talk about. Now I want to start clipping this bad boy down, see how long it takes. Oh, let's take a look at some of the flash on those repulsor sections. So the flash is going to be right here, which doesn't look like you would have to trim it perhaps. Well, that's going to be on the bottom. So this top you wouldn't have to trim, but this bottom you might, because it is going to dangle itself. There you can see a big chunk of freaking mold lines right there. So you are going to have to do a little bit of work. The assembly only hides it so much. However, always look for some options. Oh no, wait, that's going to be tucked onto the model itself. So these are the parts that hang down. And then you put the little feet looking things, the anti-grav plates. Oh, so those mold lines are on the side right there. So that's going to kind of give you an idea. So you're going to have to scrape the sides of all of these at the very least, and maybe some of those dangles, some of those anti-grav dangle dongles that are going to support it and kind of hold it down right there. So overall, not quite as much work as I envisioned, but I still think this is a solid chunk, perhaps an afternoon of assembly. Now, I think the Night Titan, before they added the extra parts, took me roughly 4 hours to completely trim down and deflash to get ready for, and assemble, of course, and that's without adding any magnets themselves. So maybe say like 5 hours. I'm wondering what the time on this bad boy right here is gonna end up being. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, y'all. Make sure you subscribe to our channel here. Turn on notifications so you can be the very first to thumbs up and comment on all of the fantastic videos we post up on here. And head on over to longwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.